Welcome back everyone to another amazing F1RL race. We're back with Tier 2 around Spain, sunny Spain as it seems to be. I believe the drivers have informed me that there will be late rain towards the end of this race, so that means a lot of these drivers will be on their dry setups, I believe. Let's go on board with Echo in the Alfa Romeo Kick Sauber. A lot of names for that Alfa Romeo, that is for sure. As we get slowly closer to a new season of F1 in the real world, we've got our sim racing to carry us through. But let's see how a lot of these drivers do around this track. Sunny Spain, Barcelona, Circuit de la Catalunya, I believe it's called. Zonic's home race, may we just say as well. So Zonic will be looking for some good points around here. Hopefully setup treats him well. Hopefully he has the pace. Who knows? We shall find out at some point in the future. But we do have Echo to start the lap here for the provisional pole lap. Unless they invalid, of course. This will be our provisional pole lap. So let's ride a nice cinematic around sunny Spain as that Alfa Romeo Kick Sauber is slowly going around the track. Clean as you like it. Lovely decals on that car for sure. It will be missed. Here we have Zonic in his home race here today. Idolising Fernando Alonso, I may assume. But what a driver this driver could be. One for the future, a special one, they say. Back on board with the Alfa Romeo to finish up the Sector 2. Down into the right-hander. Or left-hander even. I don't even remember the track. There we are, the Alfa Romeo. Down through the final corner. To the finish line it will be, unless that is an invalidation, which it definitely could have been. And I believe it was an invalidation, since that lap has not been set. Let's run on board with Zonic then. Ooh, your average Russian setting times. Neo also on the timesheet now. Can we get a maybe bit of Jamaican bacon up on the timesheet? No, he is starting the lap now. What about Nova? Nova's finishing the Sector 2. Now starting the Sector 3. It looks to be pretty clean going around this corner. Not quite getting the apex, the ideal apex at least. But through this last sector, the last two corners there has been really impressive from Nova. To the line it is, and it is going to be provisional pole with a 12.9. 112.9 for Nova. Elite Shots goes ahead and beats that with a 112.2. Zonic, what can Zonic do? Home race for the Aston Martin driver. Viva Español. Viva España. Let's see what Zonic can do. To the line. It's not going to be in the 12s, or it is even a 112.9. 6 tenths off that provisional pole there. Dilb now going through that last sector. So we get a nice look at his pink helmet with a fish on it. Let's see what it will be anyway. To the line Dilb goes. It is going to be a 113.2. Let's ride on board with Jamaican Bacon quick. He is in the pits. What about Shreddeds? Shreddeds for the first lap of the race to set a decent banker lap. What will it be in the Alpine? P4. Not bad at all. 112.9. Exactly where he would want to be. Let's go on board with Neokio. Oh, a little bit on the grass there. Won't be purple sector 1. At least let's get that track map up as well while we can. So into sector 2 then. What can Neokio do? Kept it flat, going around that corner in 6th gear. Very nice. Braking just before the 50-meter board. Purple sector 2. Neokio's got some pace, it seems. A little bit early of a downshift there could potentially jeopardize a fast finish through sector 3. Of course, sector 3 being the smallest sector on track. There is a spin from what looks to be a Haas, and that is P3 for Neokio. Let's go on board with not Echo. Who was in the Haas that span? I'm not too sure. Oh, it was Dom Dizzy Mizzy in validation as well. Is that front wing gone on that car? We won't fully be able to see, sadly. Let's try and get Andy Moore an invite to the session real quick. See if he can manage to join up. If he is even online. Doesn't seem to be online. Let's quickly send him an invitation anyway. But Neokio will continue to do the out, or the in-lap even. Let's ride on board with Echo Verex. I'm not too sure how to pronounce that second one, but we're just going to call him Echo. So Echo is on a lap. Luckily for us, we can see a little bit of qualifying action. Echo towards the back of the grid, currently in validation on that first lap. So far, is it going to be a purple sector 2? It won't be a purple sector 2. This is going to be a slower lap compared to the likes of Elite Shots, Neokio and Lizard Toes, as well as Zonic. Zonic has also snuck himself up in that top 5 currently. Let's see what he can do at his home race. But Echo is now coming to the line, and it is going to be a 1:13.7 P9 for Echo there. Not the best of laps whatsoever. Let's see what the Jamaican Bacon can do though. The Jamaican Bacon. He loves his bacon. He loves Jamaica. And he loves his Jamaican bacon for sure. Purple sector 2. He'll love that as well. A little bit early on the throttle there. However, has kept it. And around the final corner, he will go flat out in 6th gear. Probably could have upshifted quicker. But it is going to be a 1:11.9. We have breached the 1:12s currently. Vamos, some would say. Zonic's back on an out lap here. Home driver, home race. That Haas of the Mizzy staying to the inside and potentially have had a span there. Of course, the Mercedes is going around now, or trying to, and all looks to be a potential impede there between the two drivers, the Mercedes and that seems to be a McLaren off the track there. Was that the Mercedes potentially obstructing a lap? I believe it could have been. And it was the Mercedes of Elite Shots. Not fully sure what the Haas is doing currently. But we shall see. The Mizzy has left the session. Not too sure why that has happened. But the Mizzy has left the session. Maybe it was a disconnect. Let's see if we can get the Mizzy an invite back to the session. But Elite Shots is now going to be on a lap after impeding the McLaren on their out lap, or their push lap even. Let's see what Elite Shots can do. Will the 110s be bought into this? I don't think so. But we could see potential multiple drivers below the 111s or below the 112s at least. And that is Lizard Toes setting a 111.8 pole lap. That Red Bull has got some pace in it today. And it's driving very fast. What can Elite Shots respond to this with? Only 2 temps up going into Sector 3. Needs to find a bit of pace in that Sector 3. The Mercedes is pushing it to the line, and it will be an improvement nonetheless. But will it be a pole? It won't be a pole. That first sector, big time loss there. Purple Sector 2 and a Purple Sector 3 for the Mercedes driver. Just not quite enough pace in the end of it. Let's go to that yellow flag where Nova is off the track onto the gravel by the looks of it. Dilb now to set a lap, or at least try to set a lap. Let's ride on board with this. Demizzi has disconnected. Let's see if we can get a quick invite to Demizzi while we can see the lap of the McLaren in the background. So here we are down into Sector 2. Tricky part of the track here coming up to do with the left into the right slight corner. It's a very tricky part of the track to keep a lot of the throttle in and still come out on top. But Dilb's managed to keep it in and not spin or go onto any curbs and lose a lot of time there. And it is going to be a purple Sector 2 for Dilb. 5 temps up. This will put him along the likes of Neo and Neo Kyo at the moment. Let's see what he's got through Sector 3 though. Dilb round the final corner and now to the line. What will it be? It's going to be a P5 right between Neo and Nova. 112.6. Not a bad time at all. Echo on the outlap. Invalid. Starts the push lap, but I don't think this is going to be a push lap. If it is a push lap, I'm going to be concerned. Because carrying not a lot of pace down that final straight, it won't make a good fast lap. And there is an invalidation anyway, so even if it was, it won't count. Now with most of these drivers in the pits, it'll be interesting to see who comes out. It's going to be an Aston Martin that's now joined the track of the likes of Zonic. Zonic, of course, being from the Spanish lands. Not quite sure how to say it really, but Zonic is Spanish, or speaks Spanish at least. Home circuit for the Aston Martin driver. Big things could come for this driver. Of course, a 112.9 set on the banker lap. It's not the fastest banker lap out there, but it's a banker lap nonetheless. Of course, this driver would like to aim towards, I want to say towards that front 5. Has the pace to do it, I believe. With the track evolution and the track warming up, a lot of rubber being put down on the track. This driver has the ability to get that fast time and hopefully will. Around the final corner then to start the push lap. Here we go. DRS is activated down into that first corner. It's a tricky right-hander almost into an immediate left where you want to hit the curb on the inside. The likes of Zonic didn't quite hit that curb on the inside. However, is continuing at a good pace. It's not going to be a purple Sector 1 for Zonic here. down into the start of Sector 2. Big yellow flags in Sector 1. Zonic seems to have abandoned that lap. Very interesting. Wasn't fully needed to, but has abandoned it. Probably should box for new soft tyres to go out one more time on a brand new set of soft tyres. Should make it around if they're fast. But a fresh set of soft tyres around this track would help Zonic a lot more than what these used tyres would if he was to stay out on these tyres at least. Let's ride on board with the Mercedes driver of Elite Shots, who seems to abandon the lap as well. Very interesting. A lot of these drivers choosing to abandon their laps midway through. Lizard Toes, though, on a lap. Doesn't look like they're abandoning it anytime soon. We shall find out, though, around the penultimate corner, passing the Mercedes on the inside. A little bit of a dangerous position there for the Mercedes to be in. However, passes it freely. Lizard Toes now to the line with a 1:13 pretty much. Let's go right on board back again with Zonic. Decided to stay out on those tyres. Only 6 thousandths up in that first sector. Old tyres, they're coming into play. I don't think that's going to be a great lap time there from Zonic. Seems to be another yellow flag in Sector 2 to do with Neo Kyo. Neo Kyo just going slow there, I'm guessing. And there's a spin from Zonic. Not what you want to see. I've caught that brilliantly. But the Jamaican Bacon, though, down to the line to cross the penultimate or the final corner. Now down the straight to set pole for the Spanish Grand Prix. But will it be beaten? Of course, it's only provisional. 11.7, 1:11.7. Not a bad time at all. Lizard Toes, though, up. Or no, not up, even down. Jamaican Bacon won't be overtaken by Lizard Toes. By the looks of it, won't be overtaken by Elite Shots. Won't be overtaken by Nova. Can Neo do it? The crowd behind him. Down to the line. It'll only be P4. Can anyone dethrone the Jamaican Bacon around Viva la España? I don't think so. Unless Nova can do it. And Nova won't be doing it anytime soon. So, I believe that will be it from our qualifying today for Spain. Sunny Spain, but I've heard there could be rain towards the end of the race here today. But Jamaican Bacon comes out on top yet again in F1RL Tier 2 qualifying. We'll see shortly who finishes where. But here will be our final qualifying order. The Jamaican Bacon in P1. Lizard Toes in P2. Elite Shots in P3. Neo P4. Nova P5. Neo Kyo P6. Dill P7. Zonic P8. Shredded P9. Demizzy 10th. Echo versus Echo versus down in P11, and your average Russian in P12. It's going to be interesting. Let's see who used the most tyres, shall we? So it looks to be a lot of these drivers using the 3 sets of soft tyres. Only the likes of Lizard Toes as well as Neo Kyo. Shredded Meats, Demizzy and your average Russian only using 2 sets of soft tyres. Seems to be a lot of track limits here from the likes of Echo Verus or Echo Verse. Not too sure how to pronounce the name yet again. Couple from the likes of Lizard Toes and the Mercedes guys, as well as Nova, picking up 3 or 4, maybe even 5 track limits. So it'll be interesting to see who can stay penalty free around this Spanish Grand Prix. But of course, these drivers will want to take it slowly into turn 1. Make sure they keep their cars alive, because if you get wing damage on this track or around this track, it's not going to be good. Of course, we do not have the likes of Andy Moore not managing to get into the lobby, sadly. We'll send him a quick invitation just in case he can get in. And he's not actually on the F1 game, I don't think. So maybe we can't get him in, sadly. So no Andy Moore for this race. So Andy Moore won't be scoring any points. However, I'm sure Lizard Toes, the Red Bull teammate, will try to set some points at least. Alrighty. So, the time has run out. The drivers have picked their strategies. Who will come out superior? It's 5 lights, and it's lights out, and away they go. Okay, Jamaican Bacon seems to have kept the lead down into turn 1. The Red Bull driver getting almost 3 wide down into the first corner there. Looks to be Mercedes driver of Elite Shots going off the track to avoid any contact in towards turn 1. There's a nice little battle coming out towards the back here with the likes of Echo Verse and the Haas of Domizzi going 2 wide. And that has allowed Shredded Meats to sneak right through back up into P10. However, the Haas down with the inside line slowly pushes the Alpine back wide. Now the Haas making a move down, has the inside line on the Alfa Romeo. The Alfa Romeo has now run right and is down in P11. Towards the front, we still have the Jamaican Bacon leading. Neo almost making a move on the Alpine. A little bit of contact. The Mercedes driver dodges very nicely, avoids the contact there, and potentially any front wings taken off. Zonix that back up into P6. Dilb sat in P7. A little bit of pressure now from Neo Kyo. Jamaican Bacon, though, slowly starting to form a gap between Lizard Toes. As we do see Zonic slowly trying to edge himself closer towards the teammate of TTLR Neo. Neo, though, trying to make a move on Nova in the Alpine, who's had a really good start from the beginning here. And there is a yellow flag towards the back of the pack. It is going to be Domizzi with no front wing. Could this be a safety car? Oh, and there's big contact by the looks of it between 3 drivers, Neo and Nova, in the wall. How has there not been a safety car? I'm not too sure. Yellow flags in Sector 2, though. This has allowed the likes of Jamaican Bacon and Lizard Toes, as well as Elite Shots, to slowly create a big gap. Almost 5 seconds now between P3 and P4. Zonic, though, down in P5 on the back of Neo Kyo. Probably needs to pass Neo Kyo quite soon on similar tyre strategies by the looks of it. The Jamaican Bacon yet again with another fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But it looks to be that, like Elite Shots on the back of the Red Bull, trying to make a move. Can't quite make a move on the Red Bull, but stays within the DRS range. Could there be a potential move made very shortly? It is going to be a purple sector 3 for Elite, purple sector 1 for Elite Shots even, as we do see the likes of Shredded, Neo and Domizzi all into the pits here. Neo and Domizzi out quicker than Shredded, of course. Shredded needing to serve a penalty of some sort by the looks of it. Or maybe, no, that was the Mizzy that needed to serve the penalty of some sort. Also, crossing the white lines. Not too good of a start from the Mizzy there. But I am surprised we have not had a safety car so far. The field is starting to spread out a little bit. Some trains are starting to be formed, as we might see a potential move here from the Mercedes driver on the Red Bull. Will be interesting to see as the Red Bull makes a move down to the inside there. That was a very silly move from the Red Bull driver. The Red Bull driver is around. No space needed to be left. Had no right to make that dive bomb. Round the outside there from Lizard Toes. Lizard Toes is now spinning more and more. A moment of madness. The red mist has taken over from Lizard Toes, as it now looks like it's going to be one of these two drivers that's going to win this race. Will it be the Jamaican Bacon or will it be Elite Shots? My money is going to be on the Jamaican Bacon here to win this Grand Prix. However, Zonic in P3, home race for the driver. He knows this track in and out. It'll be interesting to see what Zonic can do. Of course, with a 2-second gap to Dilb, has broken the DRS. It'll be very interesting to see what will happen next, as there is a Alfa Romeo off the track there, I believe, or it might have even been a Ferrari. It was a Ferrari off of the track. Not too sure what happened there, as we've just seen a potential loss in power from the Mercedes car going around that corner. Engine seemed to bog out and has allowed Dilb to catch up very nicely. But I don't think Dilb is managing to get past Neokio anytime soon. I think Neokio potentially wants to let Dilb through to allow Dilb to have a little go at trying to catch up to Zonic. Of course, being on the harder tyre compounds, will be going for a longer stint. I think the Mercedes driver knows it, and it looks to be like the Mercedes driver didn't fight that too much. But what did try fight it on the exit though of that corner, tried to get a little switchback but didn't quite make it happen. Are the mediums already dying out this early? They shouldn't be. And Dilb having a little weave to try and make the DRS advantage not come into play, but it has came into play. The DRS has allowed, as we've seen a big spin there from Zonic. Needs to get back on track as soon as possible to have a chance at getting some decent points. That's very unfortunate from the Aston Martin driver. Had no one in sight and has got no front wing. Oh, it's not gone very well for Zonic today around his home race. But Dilb now on the back of Neokio once again. Will be interesting to see what will happen. Lizard Toes 15 seconds away from P8. Of course, had to make a pit stop, I believe, because having no front wing, or that might just be the amount of time lost through spinning. I'm not fully sure. However, these two out in front, the Jamaican Bacon and the Elite Shots, experienced drivers now in Tier 2, have spent 2 seasons in there together, and by looks of it, evenly paced around the circuit of Catalonia. Both of these drivers very evenly matched on pace, in that 1 second gap of each other. It'll be very interesting to see who comes out on top here. Of course, I said originally my money was on Jamaican Bacon to come out on top, but Elite Shots is slowly catching him to the point where I think Elite Shots has a very good chance of winning this race. But I believe it will fall to one of these two drivers to win the race. Just who it will be, I'm not too sure. By the looks of it, that Ferrari is missing a front end plate. It looks to be the front right end plate. That has allowed Lizard Toes to catch up to them. Now Lizard Toes on the back of Zonic. Zonic dives into the pits after needing, I believe, a front wing change. Yeah, it will be a front wing change there for Zonic. And your average Russian is also pitting for a front wing change by the looks of it. There's the front wing change for one, and there's the front wing change for the other. Hard tyre compounds going on. Seems to be the right choice from Zonic there. As Elite Shots has managed to get past the Jamaican Bacon here. But I feel like that won't be for long, because the Jamaican Bacon with DRS down to the inside clears the Mercedes with ease, some would say. But wait, is that the Jamaican Bacon on soft tyres? It is. It looks to be a potential soft to hard strategy for the Jamaican Bacon, unless he's going to try and push it out for the mediums. It could be a soft to medium strategy for the Jamaican Bacon there. It's very much possible, however, it's going to be hard. But one thing the Jamaican Bacon is definitely hard right now after being in that P1 position, leading 9 laps of this race so far, coming up to the back of your average Russian to lap them for the first time. I hope your ghosting is on. It should be on. I double checked it. It should be on. However, I'm not too sure. Let's just hope the back markers don't get in the way of these two front runners at least. Elite Shots is now dropping out of that 1 second gap. The soft tyres from the Jamaican Bacon not seeming to die out so far. The degradation on them must be incredible. However, I've got a feeling he's got a setup that's nursing those tyres. Oh, a little bit of slide there from that front end, but I think that could have been driver error. Not too sure if it was the tyres. I believe the pit stop lap for these two drivers will be potentially lap 14 for Elite Shots, and potentially now or soon enough for the Jamaican Bacon. Not too sure how long he can spend on those soft tyre compounds, but he's trying it as much as possible. Well, we shall see here. Again, the soft tyres seeming to be out in front. Your average Russian has retired from the session in the pits. Once again, Zonic and Neo down together in P10 and P11. Unfortunate race for the Aston Martin drivers there. But it seems to be no one's that close out on track apart from these two front runners here. There could be a potential little battle coming up here between the Ferrari driver and the Red Bull, as the Ferrari impedes the Red Bull massively. But of course that is just AI from the Ferrari driver, so that is just unfortunate luck there. More unfortunate luck follows. Shredded gets around Lizard Toes. Or no, Shredded gets around Your Average Russian. My mistake. Zonic gets the overtake on Neo, as we have seen the Jamaican Bacon make his pit stop on lap 12. 20 laps on mediums. Is it doable? What will the Jamaican Bacon risk it? He has risked it. 20 laps on the medium tyre compound is what he's going to aim to do. Very much possible. Unless, of course, a late safety car. That will put no demeanour into his plans whatsoever. That will put a knife straight through them. Elite Shots, though, staying out on these tyres for now, as we do see Neo within that 1 second gap of Zonic, but dropping out of that 1 second gap, I must say. Zonic is slowly starting to cook on those hard tyre compounds. Of course, they will go till the end. Does not need to make another pit stop unless a late safety car. It'll be interesting to see what will happen here in Spain. But the Jamaican Bacon is now, of course, net P1 in terms of pit stops made. And he hasn't managed to join us today. Had some problems joining the race. Wasn't fully able to get into the lobby. But we do see now Jamaican Bacon slowly catching up to a lot of these drivers now. There is a yellow flag down in the third sector. I believe that was the Dom Dizzy Mizzy having a little bit of a spin has allowed Zonic and Neo to both overtake them, or overtake themselves. Shredded Meats now down in P7. Not a bad start from the driver, but of course would have wanted more. Let's double check some of the statistics that have happened this race. So we have seen the likes of Echo Varus up in P8 now after starting down in P11, P10ish, up 3 positions. Shredded Meat's also up 2 positions. Dilb now up 6 positions, of course. That is because Elite Shots and Jamaican Bacon have made their pit stops. And I must say, the Jamaican Bacon has made a nice gap of about 4 seconds now between Elite Shots and himself after making that early pit stop from the softs onto the mediums. Of course, 21 laps on the medium tyre compound. It's going to be hard, but Elite Shots has gone onto the hard tyre compound. It's a race against tyres. Degradation is going to be high on the mediums. However, can they last 21 laps? They should last 21 laps. But will they have the pace towards the end? I think they might just about have enough pace in them. But it'll be interesting to see if the hards are able to stay lively and potentially get near those mediums of the Jamaican Bacon. As he now enters towards that, or he now enters into that net P1 position, only 4.2 seconds off of Dilb, the McLaren, out in first. The field's evenly spread out at the moment. We are seeing the likes of Sonic get close once again to his teammate Neo. Potentially some good battles will happen here. The home race of one versus an experienced driver. He knows where to put his car on the straights. He knows where to put it on the corners. Let's just see how this battle plays out between teammates. It looks like team orders has set in and Sonic has been allowed through. Domizzi now retires in the pits. Has had enough. Doesn't think he's going to be able to get any points out of this race. So now every driver that finishes the race will get at least 1 point. So it is needed for most of these drivers to finish. Elite Shots now goes through past Neo Kyo into the pits to make a pit stop onto the hard tyre compound. Could have chanced softs for 14 laps, but decided against it. Personally, I would have stuck out on those mediums an extra 2, maybe 3 laps, then gone onto the soft tyres to potentially have a chance at chasing down the likes of Elite Shots and the Jamaican Bacon. The Jamaican Bacon, though, now only within 1.5 seconds between himself and Dilb. Would like to be in this DRS coming into the third sector down in that straight. Getting that DRS there is very important, especially if Dilb decides to pit this lap. Coming up to the DRS detection point, though, he's going to be inside of that time, that 1 second gap. Has got DRS enabled, and I imagine this is going to be the easiest overtake of the Jamaican Bacon's life. Going down almost into the corner. Dilb's going to defend this really nicely, parking it on the apex, but the grip difference between the McLaren and the Williams is immense. Through goes the Williams into P1 yet again. As we do now see Elite Shots just in the distance, watching, lurking in the background of this battle. Of course, we'll be able to see the Williams head up the road, only 3 or so seconds away. However, the Mercedes needs to pass that McLaren first of all before getting anywhere close to that Williams. Seems to be Dilb is going long. Potentially we could see Dilb pit around lap 19 for some soft tyres that will go towards the end of the race. But I think he might stick out for a little bit longer. Stick with that hard to soft strategy from Dilb. I'm not too sure if it was the fastest strategy, but it is paying out so far. Only been overtaken by one driver. Whether the pit stop will put him around P5, P6 area, or whether it will put him towards that P4 position, I'm not too sure. But I am sure that Dilb is going to get overtaken and has got overtaken by Elite Shots. Now Dilb needs to stay within that 1 second gap of Elite Shots to hopefully save his tyres. Gain a little bit of time on the straights under DRS. But it'll be interesting to see what will happen. Will Dilb potentially try and make the overtake happen once again down on that final pit straight? Elite Shots only 9 tenths away, but it seems to be enough potentially. Has he got the DRS? I'm not too sure. He has managed to get the DRS on Elite Shots. Dilb saved for another lap potentially here. I say for another lap. It looks to be for another couple of corners. The McLaren just not have the grip. However, the clouds are changing. The sun has gone away. It was going to end with a bit of rain. Now, how early will the rain come? That is the real question. Would it be smart to pit for intermediate tyres? Or will it not be smart and hang out on the medium compound? That is the challenge that Jamaican Bacon will be facing very shortly here. As we don't see any rain yet on the track. What about Sector 1? Is there rain yet? There could be. Is it here yet? I don't think so. Let's check out Sector 3. Seems to still be dry. What about Sector 2? Sector 2 is still dry, but the grey clouds are looming now. It's a matter of time before it starts to rain. How long will it rain for and how hard is another question. I wish we had a race engineer to say. However, we don't. Nova 3-second time penalty. I thought that would happen a little bit earlier on in this race, I have to be honest. Echo Verus also getting one. Getting a 3-second time penalty. But still no sign of rain throughout this track. As Echo Verus cuts that first corner a decent amount there. It'll be interesting to see when the rain comes. I know I keep repeating myself, but that is because there isn't much action out on track currently. It is a matter of waiting for the rain to spice this up. The Bacon is sitting pretty right now. 2 seconds out in front. Dilb yet to make the pit stop. Will it be a pit stop onto intermediate tyres for the end of this race when the rain comes down? Or could it be some softs? There is a yellow flag in Sector 3. That is Echo Verus around. And struggling for traction there by the looks of it. Still struggling for traction. Those rear tyres seem to be very hot by the looks of it. Not what you want to see around Spain. That is for sure. Yet still no sign of rain throughout any of the track currently. It's getting darker. But when will it come? It'd be perfect for it to start raining right now. And get heavy towards the last 5 laps. I'm hoping it happens. But we shall see. Of course, all drivers out on track currently will be, hopefully, not impacted by it. And all drivers out on track will score points no matter what happens. As Echo Verus has retired from the session. I'm not fully sure why that has happened. The car seems to still be moving. Looks to be a retirement out on track. Very disappointing there. Could have scored a single point. A single point is always better than no points. It all plays into the cards of the championship battle. Points are points. You don't want to drop them. Jamaican Bacon still out in front. There is signs of rain now down in Sector 2. The rain's here. The track will start to become a little bit slidey. It would be very nice if this rain starts to pick up. Make some late changes of tyres. Who will make the gamble though? Not too sure. This won't play nicely into Jamaican Bacon's hands though. Especially with the old medium tyres. The grip isn't there as it is. And it's just going to get worse and worse. These drivers have skill, but it'll be interesting to see how skilled they are. Dilb into the pits. Will it be the Inters? It is the intermediate tyres. Dilb taking a chance here. Making a late pit stop onto intermediate tyres. Whether he stayed onto the hard tyres the whole time, that'll be another question. Let's quickly see. It was Dilb with a strategy. Potentially the best strategy out on grid. Will be interesting to see how Dilb finishes this race. But the rain is coming down. I would say it's nearly pit territory. If this rain's going to keep up like this, it definitely pit territory. The Jamaican Bacon is having issues. And it is going to be into the pits. Avoiding the bump on the pits in the pit lane. Both drivers now in the pits. Elite Shots and the Jamaican Bacon. But the only thing this is going to do is benefit those that have already pitted. Zonic hasn't already pitted. Neo has. Neo now managing to unlap himself. Dilb, however, though, around the final corner, already on the intermediate tyres. He's caught a lot of ground towards Elite Shots and the Jamaican Bacon. It's not quite enough to put himself in amongst the two. However, only 7 seconds off. Could it be a masterclass from Dilb if he can continue to gain time on the front two? DRS has been disabled. That's a sign of when to pit. I once stayed out on soft tyres in these conditions. It was horrible. Hopefully these drivers don't make the same mistake I did many races ago. Zonic into the pits here for the intermediate tyres. By the looks of it. Honestly, the wet tyres could be chanced here. If the stagnant standing water lays on the track, it could be a very nice time for wet tyres. Never mind inters. But the Jamaican Bacon still stays out in front currently. Elite Shots though. Some call him the Elite Rain Driver. Brilliant driver in the rain. Only 6 tenths behind the Jamaican Bacon. Of course, that gap is decreasing between them both. Down the pit straight then. Probably the only place on this track you could probably go full throttle, highest gear. Down into probably around 4th gear for this section here. The Jamaican Bacon is struggling by the looks of it. Elite Shots down to the inside, but backs out of the move. Not enough track potentially to have a little battle and keep it safe. Elite Shots likes to keep it safe even when driving in the wet conditions. I know the Jamaican Bacon will want to win this race and will be trying to do everything possible to win this race, even if that includes lag switching. We just saw a little bit there where the Jamaican Bacon jumped a little bit extra forwards compared to where he once was when Elite Shots tried to look down to the inside at least. But that has allowed him to gain an extra 8/10 between, or that has allowed to gain him an extra 3/10, making that total gap up to 8. But that has now been eaten away a little bit more by Elite Shots there. A little spin, a little bit of a slide. Good save from the Jamaican Bacon though. Dilb, 10 seconds back now. Not quite got the pace he had hoped, but looks to be on for a podium nonetheless. That McLaren has had a good strategy thus far this race. Elite Shots once again catching the Jamaican Bacon. Will it be another lag switch to help himself keep out in front? Not too sure. Slowly can see his car gaining that little bit of extra traction needed. Of course, a lot of these drivers will have medium to full traction control to help them in the wet weather, as this is tier 2. Neo, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Not fully sure why Neo's decided to pit, but Neo is now into the pits nonetheless, as the Jamaican Bacon is slowly catching up to Zonic. The Aston Martin driver around his home circuit has not had a good race today, whether it's been through unfortunate collisions or just not having the pace. I'm not too sure what has gone wrong for that driver today. However, what I do know is the Jamaican Bacon, with the pace he has on those intermediate tyres, is catching up to Zonic, and it could be Zonic lapped in the next 2 to 3 laps. Striking distance says about 2 laps, but we shall see what actually happens here. Will it be earlier? I think so. At the way the Jamaican Bacon's driving right now, to escape Elite Shots, it's almost like he just has that 15% extra grip. Incredible driving, incredible tyre saving nonetheless. And of course that little bit of lag switching that keeps happening for the Jamaican Bacon, just allowing him to stay out in front. As we do see Zonic get lapped, very unfortunately, by the likes of Jamaican Bacon and Elite Shots. Neo down in P9 cooking, some would say. He's cooking up that last place result for sure. But I guess it's cooking nonetheless when you think about it. One person that is cooking right now is the Jamaican Bacon. Out in front, 27% battery compared to Elite Shots. I can't actually see Elite Shots one, but it is also 27%. Both drivers same battery deployed, but by the looks of it, Elite Shots is harvesting a little bit more per lap than the likes of the Jamaican Bacon. But there is gonna be some penalties applied, so let's get those penalties out. The win out, should we? So it looks to be the likes of P4, P5, P6 and P7 all picking up a 3-second time penalty. Zonic down just outside of those penalties by the looks of it. Down 27 seconds behind. Neo also 21 seconds behind Zonic with an 8-second time penalty. Very unfortunate for Zonic today. He won't gain any positions after penalties have been applied, I don't think. Echo Varuz DNFing, finishing 10th. Demizi in P11th. Your average Russian in P12. Neo has now retired in the pits. Down in P9. Thought to himself, he cooked enough. And he has now gone out of here. But the likes of Jamaican Bacon and Elite Shots, very similar ERS at the moment. Or maybe not. Elite Shots 10% behind. It is going to be a matter of who can save the most battery and deploy it around that final corner, I believe. But I must say, both 6-lap-olds, both on 2 stops. Neo out here with the 6-stop strategy before DNFing. Should have gone for a 7th, maybe an 8th, to be honest. He had nothing to lose. He could have cooked, but has decided against it. Dilb has gone up 4 positions today, and I think for that he is going to get my driver of the day. Will he get the game's driver of the day though? I'm not too sure, but my driver of the day is going to go to Dilb. I'd say a close runner-up being Zonic, having the courage and determination to even stay in the race even after being lapped. It shows character. But my driver of the day will go to Dilb. Of course, the Jamaican Bacon has to be up there. Drove a sublime race, as well as Elite Shots as well. Both these two deserve to be where they are currently. And it'll be interesting to see who will be out in the end of this race. But one person that I haven't mentioned in a while is Lizard Toes, down in P4. Not doing too bad. Nova down in P6 as well. No one around him. It's not looking good for Nova. Not looking good whatsoever. Dilblo. No one around. Can see Elite Shots just in the distance, but it's not nowhere near as close as what it should be. Final lap though. Elite Shots versus the Jamaican Bacon. Who will be the victor? Battery will be getting used between both of these drivers now. The Jamaican Bacon out in front by a long shot by the looks of it. Elite Shots not managing to catch up at all, using all of that battery deployed. However, the Jamaican Bacon's fuel is flashing red. That will affect going into that final corner. Elite Shots though, not quite enough. And it will be the Jamaican Bacon to take home the Spanish Grand Prix, to cross the line for the race victory. Elite Shots in P2. Dilb to cross the line next in that P3 position. Zonic getting out the way to allow Dilb through. Of course, Zonic having a very unfortunate race. More unfortunates are happening. Doing some donuts for the Spanish crowd. Coming from Spain, of course. Ooh, a little bit of contact there potentially between the Aston Martin and the Red Bull driver. The Red Bull driver of Lizard Toes comes home P4. Anyway, Neo Kyo, after driving a very good race, down into P5. Shredded Meats next across the line for that P6. Nova to next cross the line. Taking the final corner very carefully, not to spin. A little bit of track limits on the exit, but it won't matter. Crosses the line for P7. And that will round off the Spanish Grand Prix. Wow, what a race. Driver of the day, Shredded Meats. I would disagree. My driver of the day would go to Dilb. However, we will now see the podium celebrations. The Jamaican Bacon coming out on top. But that will be our Spanish race for the Tier 2 then. Let's get a final roundup of what happens. So we have had the Jamaican Bacon start on pole and finish in pole. Elite Shots starting in that P3 position, finishing in P2 with the fastest lap. Gets that extra 1 point. Dilb next across the line. My driver of the day at heart, going from P7 down to up to P3. Very impressive. Lizard Toes down in P4. Neo Kyo down in P5. Lizard Toes, of course, having a lot of issues, a lot of contact towards the early start of that race, dropping the order. Neo Kyo up in P5. Shredded Meats down in P6. Of course, making 3 positions up. Very good. Nova finishes P7 after starting P5. Zonic, very unfortunate, starts P8, finishes P8. Neo started P4, finished 9th, and actually DNF'd, I believe. Echo Varuz starting P10, or starting P11, finishing P10, and the other 2 drivers DNF'd, that being Demizzi and Your Average Russian. Thanks so much for joining our Tier 2 race around sunny Spain with a little bit of a wet ending. Tune in tomorrow at 7 PM GMT for Tier 1 Spain.